Morning, everybody. This is Scott Steehn with winnersandwhiners.com, coming to you from deep in the bunker of the Winners and Whiners Sports and Entertainment Complex, keeping our social distance of 6 feet between every other living human being in our lives. I am joined today, once again, by the one and only my counterpart in crime over there at statsalt.com. It is Scott Reichel. Scott, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. I bet on the NBA 2K players thing yesterday, so it's some desperate times at.
We will circle back to that in just a minute. I want to bring in our other, the third leg of our tripod here. We had him yesterday. You know him, you love him. He is David Hess, keeping it real up there. He's a Mainer up there in Black Bear territory. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's WrestleMania day.
It's day one of
day one.
The first 2-day WrestleMania. Are you excited?
Yes, I am. Stayed up till 7 a.m. this morning doing an entire write-up. They can find it all at Winners and Whiners.
There you go. And Dave, how many matches are there tonight?
I'm not sure the total schedule of it. There's 16 matches that have been scheduled overall. So
16 matches overall.
Yeah.
Over a 2-night extravaganza, and they're having it there in the complex, where the same place they're doing their Friday night show.
No, where they do the NXT on Wednesday night.
Okay, so
the Performance Center. That's where all the wrestlers train to become wrestlers, basically.
Where all the wrestlers trained to become more important wrestlers. Very nice. All right. You know what? I can spend a show talking on that. I'm not going to do that. I know most of the folks aren't tuning in for wrestle stuff. I'm fascinated by it. I'm especially fascinated by all the changes and what's happened with the no crowd and everything like that. But Scott, I did want to circle back. So tell me about the players thing and what you're betting on in the NBA.
So I originally had some ideas on where I wanted to go based on just looking around, and apparently some players are well known in the community for being pretty solid at the game. So I was originally going to think about putting some bets out there, and then I decided not to. But then I heard on Twitter that the games were actually already played, and it was pre-recorded, and there was an information leak going on with one of the matchups between Kevin Durant and Derrick Jones Jr. And apparently Derrick Jones Jr. admitted that the game was already played. So there was a ton of controversial line movement going on leading up to the actual airing of the games, because Kevin Durant, for example, opened up as roughly a 2.5-point favorite, and he closed at a 3-point underdog. So pretty much people knew the outcome of the event before it actually happened. So I had to bet on it, and I bet on Derrick Jones Jr., and he won by 16 points. So I saw a bunch of line movement going on with all of these games, and it appears that all the line moves won. So that might be something to look at for the future.
That's a pretty good tip right there, my friend. So all the late money is correct.
Yes. From what I saw was that Derrick Jones opened up a roughly +2 or +2.5 if you shopped around, and he closed at roughly -3 or -3.5. And he ended up winning by double digits. You had DeAndre Ayton, who opened up at 3.5, went to 5.5. He won by double digits. You had pretty much every game was decided by double digits, and all the line movements were correct. So something got leaked there. So keep that in mind for future reference.
All right, there you go. That's a hot tip for all you 2K NBA players.
Does that even count as betting, though? Because I kind of knew the outcome before it even happened.
You have more money in your account than when you started?
That I do.
Yeah. So that's pretty much, you can chalk that in the yes column for betting. So
yeah,
very nice. All right, great tips from both of you. It's a full day. Scott, is that on anywhere? Do you watch that live per se?
It's actually on ESPN. I know, it's crazy how times have changed. 2K pretty much had a bidding war between Fox Sports and ESPN for the broadcasting rights. I know a couple of games were on Twitch, I believe, but for the most part, the majority of the games were on ESPN 2. So you could actually watch it.
2 months ago, we had the Super Bowl. So just
don't remind me. This is really a depressing time period that we're in right now.
Well, speaking of depressing, let's take a look at the NFC East, shall we?
Smooth segue. Nice.
It's just I am the best. That's why I'm the host. It's the master of segues. It doesn't get a lot more depressing than this division. There's been some changes. Been a lot of personnel movement, a lot of shifty stuff going on back and forth. So let's start with the current reigning division champion, the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles went 9-7 last year. They have had their win total posted at 9.5. Vegas thinks there's going to be improvement from the Philadelphia Eagles. And of course, on Bet Online, which is where I got these lines from, if you want to bet the over, you're paying a little extra juice to the tune of -135. Scott, the Eagles brought in Darius Slay and Roby Coleman from the Rams to play cornerback. That's going to replace a couple of parts that they lost. Is it going to be a net gain for them? What's the prospect for the Eagles here?
Well, for me on DraftKings, I have 9.5 on the over at -115.
Okay.
I like the over. We went through it yesterday. I told you that I thought the Eagles, or a couple days ago, I thought the Eagles would end up making the Super Bowl. But for me, the whole team got injured last year. That might sound like hyperbole and exaggeration. It really wasn't. I mean, you were throwing in backup practice squad receivers in primetime games because everyone got injured, even on the defense. They did lose Peters on the offensive line, but he's kind of started to decline. So I feel like a decent amount of the Eagles, at least the front office, realized that it wasn't worth keeping him just based on namesake alone. As a whole, assuming that Wentz can stay healthy, which is always the big question mark, I still think they're the class of the division. The defense should get a lot better, that they actually have a real corner. Darby, despite his ability to make some plays on the ball every now and then, wasn't a number one corner. And Slay definitely should provide some stability along with Roby Coleman. So for me, assuming most of the team can stay healthy, their pass rush and their defensive front is still very good with Cox leading the way. And for me, I think that I'm assuming they're going to draft a receiver in the first round because they desperately need one. But they also had some injuries. And as long as they can stay somewhat healthy, I can understand why this number's higher than it was last year. And for that reason, I think they'll win at least 10, 11 games. So I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, and it's always, we've talked about it with a couple of other divisions. It's something you always have to take a look at when you have so many bad teams into the division and realizing that you're going to play 6 games against those bad teams. And that's definitely the case with these Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I'll say 4, because I think the Cowboys are serviceable. I think the Redskins and the Giants are a separate category. But I see your point.
I would go along with that. Dave, are you drinking the green Kool-Aid here with the Philadelphia Eagles? I know no, you're Philadelphia for baseball, but what do you think about the Eagles here? Because they've got, I know we talked yesterday about the divisions that the different teams play. The Eagles have the AFC Central this year and the NFC West. Are they going to be able to make some headway there against those teams?
I think so. The improvements that I think they made some improvements on defense, especially with the addition of Slay. A big part of the Eagles' struggles last year at times was the fact that they were hit extremely hard in the wide receiver department with injuries. And many have them drafting the wide receiver from LSU, Justin Jefferson. But there are some other good wide receivers out there, and they will go after a wide receiver probably in the first round. Their schedule also isn't that tough. It's the 25th toughest schedule in the NFL. So, they do play at San Francisco and Green Bay, and of course at Dallas. But other than that, I think the Eagles, with the improvements of their defense, and especially if the wide receiver core can stay healthy, they Wentz is a great quarterback, and he should be able to lead them to at least 10 wins this year.
Well, I want to get on the bus with you guys because I know somebody's got to win this division. Somebody's going to win some games. When I look at this schedule, they are at the 49ers, they're at the Steelers, they're at the Packers. Does everybody agree that's 3 losses, or do you think they can beat the Steelers?
Steelers, maybe. It really depends. Nobody knows what to think of Big Ben off the arm surgery. So that remains.
Yeah.
And then they're at the Cardinals and the Browns. Both of those are losable games, but I've got them marked in for a win. I think out of those 5, I think they go 2-3. They've got home games against the Seahawks, Rams, Bengals, Ravens, and Saints. This is all out of division stuff, of course. I think they lose 3 home games. I think they lose the Seahawks, Ravens, and Saints, guys.
So you got 10-6.
So I've got it. Well, I've got them at 4-6 there, which means they need to go 6, or they need to go 5-1 just to get to 9-7 in their division games. I don't know. I have a hard time making the math work. I like their additions. I like this team. I think Wentz is okay, but I just don't know. You know what? I'm going to go. I'll ride with you guys. But looking at that schedule, I don't think it's quite the lock that a lot of people do. But I will give a slight lean to the over 9.5, just because somebody's got to win games in that division. And maybe they could pull an upset there. I think they could beat the Seahawks. Perhaps the Saints at home. I don't know.
Well, the fact that those two games are at home definitely helps their chances. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. That is two very difficult places to play on the road. No question about it. I'd much rather play at Arizona and Cleveland as far as crowds go. So we've got let's mark the Eagles down for over 9.5. And you guys have them winning the division. Dave, do you have the Eagles winning the division?
Actually, I think the Cowboys are going to win the division.
Cowboys. What about you?
The teams could still finish both at 10-6, but I feel somehow the Cowboys are going to win a tiebreaker.
All right, fair enough. Scott, what are you in the same boat there?
Oh, I'm biased because I root for the Cowboys. But if you're looking at the rosters on paper, I just think the Eagles are a better overall team when healthy. And that's a huge question mark. But for me, I'm going to take Philly. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that David is right because I do root for the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, I just think Philly's more talented.
And I guess we're going to find out whether or not a running back matters, because I don't know. I'm not impressed at all by the Philadelphia Phillies running back. I don't think they've got a home run hitter there. And if you're a believer in any semblance of old style NFL with the running back being an important cog in the machine, then you've got to go for Dallas. So let's talk about Dallas here a little bit.
Wait, who do you like to win the division? It's tough. It's really a coin flip every year.
I'm on the Redskins. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
It really is. It came down to basically a coin flip last year, and who was able to pull it out the last game of the season. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I think the Cowboys will find new and interesting ways to melt down and implode. I'm certainly not a Mike McCarthy fan. I don't know how well he's going to get along with Dak Prescott. I'm not sure that marriage is going to work out at all. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Dave, I'll let you start off. We've got basically the same situation as the Eagles, a little less juice on BetOnline. Still 9.5. I've got them at -125 juice to the over. They finished a disappointing 8-8 last year. They did make some serious improvements, at least on paper, on the defensive side, including bringing in HaHa Clinton-Dix, Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy, who's surprisingly still in the NFL, did not know that, and a guy that went to the same high school that I did, Mr. Alden Smith, who's going to try to stay out of trouble with the law for at least 6 months in a row and perhaps be reinstated and play. Dave, is that enough to take these Cowboys to the promised land of the NFC East?
I think it is. I know we talked yesterday about a new coach coming in, and with the coronavirus, they're not going to have as much time. But I kind of like Mike McCarthy. I thought he did a good job at Green Bay, and Dallas needed a fresh start by getting rid of the coach they had, Garrett. So their defense should be improved, just like the Eagles' defense should be improved. But I think Dallas may have a bit more on the offense than the Eagles do. That offense is just clicking, and especially with Elliott toting the rock all over the place. He's very hard to stop. Their schedule isn't that tough either, and I think they're not going to run away with it. Obviously, I think they're both teams are going to wind up with 10 wins, but I think Dallas is going to end up winning the division by tiebreaker.
Okay, at 10-6 for both of them.
Yes.
All right. So you like the over on both of those numbers at 9.5. Scott, where do you land on this with your favorite Cowboys there?
Well, right now on DraftKings, the over 9.5 is at -106, so you're actually getting a pretty good price on that.
Nice.
It's really tough because there's just so much turnover with this actual roster. The fan in me is telling me to take the over, so I'm just going to ride it, I guess. I'm just not going to put any money on it personally. This is a pass for me because I think that the number is pretty accurate on where it should be. But there's just so much turnover. Now, in McCarthy and Green Bay, I wasn't the biggest fan of him, but there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with him and his relationship with Rodgers, and you got to wonder how that will carry over with Dak Prescott. But anything's an improvement over Jason Garrett. I can confirm that. So I'm not really going to complain about the acquisition of McCarthy. I think they will look a little bit more organized, and maybe they'll actually go for it on 4th and 1 every now and then instead of punting, which is definitely an upgrade. But you have so many losses here. I mean, Travis Frederick on offense was a huge issue as he retired at the center spot, all-pro center. He's gone. You still have Tyron Smith aging on the outside. You got to wonder if he will be able to look anywhere near as well as he did early in his career. I'm personally skeptical of that. Now, with Elliott, you still have Pollard, who hopefully can stay healthy, which does provide a nice 1-2 punch. They signed Cooper, so they brought him back. Gallup hopefully can stay healthy. That defense, though, especially with some injuries in the secondary, is a disaster. The secondary wasn't any good last year, and they lost Byron Jones, and I don't really know how they're going to cover anybody. I mean, according to some mock drafts, they're projected to take Henderson from Florida with the first round, assuming he's still available. But I'm still skeptical of that secondary, not to mention the fact that Van Der Esch can't stay healthy. He's had some injury issues. You also have Sean Lee, who's had injury issues, who came back. And you also lost Robert Quinn. You're relying on potentially Aldon Smith or Randy Gregory to get reinstated. There's a lot of question marks there. It makes a lot of sense to take the under, but the personal bias in me is taking the over, and I think they'll finish at 10-6.
Okay, well that's certainly broken down with your head and with your heart.
I pretty much went against my head in every single way. I listed all the cons and still took the overs. So, tread lightly on that one.
I've done that myself with games, and you lay out this beautiful case, and you go, but I'm going the other way. And, when it goes your way, you feel like a genius, but often it does not, and you do not feel like a genius. I am excited that they brought in the Z-Man. They brought in Greg Zuerlein to maybe finally have a competent place kicker. That would be unusual to see in Dallas. So we'll see how that goes.
You have any thoughts on the over-under there? It's another coin flip. I mean,
I'm with your brain side that says there's just too much turmoil. There's too many questions on the offensive line. That has been a fantastic unit there for many years. They are getting a little long in the tooth, and I'm not sure they've done a great job of replacing them. I like both those guys on defense that you mentioned. I like Van Der Esch a lot. I like Sean Lee a lot, and they just can't stay on the field for whatever reason. I've got to go under there. I've taken Philadelphia to win the division, and part of that means Dallas is not going to win more than 9.5 games. So I'm going to go Dallas 9-7, but it is something I probably will not play with my own money. So yeah. All right. So let's now we've got to get into the teams that are not quite as fun, with the little lower expectations.
Well, they're fun to watch from afar, just not to watch on television. That's how I would describe it.
Few ugly teams to watch play, no question about it. The New York Football Giants, Scott, we've got them at 6.5 after finishing 4-12 last year. They've had a new quarterback there in Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones is the quarterback of the present now in New York after Eli is gone. Saquon Barkley had some injury problems last year that he had to fight through, missed a couple of games, and wasn't 100% for a couple others. So, Scott, is there any way the Giants get 3 games better? I'm sorry, I'll try to say that without laughing. Is there any way, Scott, the Giants get 3 games better than they were last year?
No. I don't see it. I know DraftKings actually has it at 6 and not 6.5. So if you actually want to take the over, you can shop around and get half a game of value there. At 6.5, I got to take the under. I know Daniel Jones showed signs of life. You also have to wonder what the Giants are going to do with the 4th overall pick. So you might want to actually hold off on betting any of these until you see what direction they go at the end of April. But the Giants apparently seem content with Nate Solder and Fleming as their tackles, as they've been linked to Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson with the 4th pick. I don't know what they're content about. Their offensive line's terrible, and I don't know how they can keep anybody upright. I know Barkley's a phenomenal talent, and their receiving core is actually pretty underrated, assuming that they can actually stay healthy. But I know they got Bradbury also in the secondary, big acquisition there.
Right.
I really just don't think this team is that good, and I think this offensive line is a disaster, whether or not the front office wants to admit it or not. I think putting on some bandages on a massive wound isn't exactly going to suddenly fix everything. I'm going to take the under. I think they'll win 5 games. I think they'll go 5-11. I'll take the under.
I think that's pretty solid. Dave, they brought in Blake Martinez, one of my favorite kind of under the radar guys there from Green Bay to play inside linebacker. And like Scott mentioned, they brought in Bradbury from Carolina to play the corner. Any of that impress you? Any shot they have of getting over 6.5?
I can't see them improving by 3 wins over last year. They have an improved defense, but their defense was really, really bad last year. So
Awful. Just awful.
I mean, and I don't think that the defense is going to be enough to overcome giving them 3 extra wins. The offense, Daniel Jones. I became a fan of Daniel Jones the first game I saw him. I like him.
He was really something that Tampa Bay game, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got a great upside. He's not going to get as much preparation this year because of the coronavirus, but he still has a good upside. And of course, you got Barkley there running the ball. But Darius Slayton is their top wide receiver. You can't have that on this team. So the offense still needs work. The defense still needs work, and I just don't see them win. They have a fairly easy schedule, but they're not better than any of the teams I think in the AFC North. So
well, one thing to actually add there is that Daniel Jones did get injured towards the end of the year, which caused Eli Manning to come back pretty much out of retirement for the most part to play a couple of games there. Since he retired, if Jones gets injured, that's that's code red right there based on the quarterback depth that they have available. I know Eli isn't starter quality and retired for a reason because he couldn't cut it anymore. Still a viable backup in my opinion. And now that he's gone, if Jones gets injured and you have money on the over with that offensive line, you pretty much just should burn your ticket up. I don't see any point.
And there's a very good chance that Jones will at least get banged up. I'm not saying season-long injury, but he's going to be running for his life a lot. Now, he is a pretty mobile quarterback, but, he is a big guy. He runs upright. I don't see any way he starts 16 games. I'd like to make a separate bet on the number of games that Daniel Jones starts, and I would take the under 16 for sure. I don't see any way he gets out of this season unscathed. This is one of my favorite bets on the board. I got to be honest with you. I think you're paying. I think if you're taking the over, I think you're paying that New York tax. I think you get that. The New York teams, you also pay it on Dallas on occasion, on Green Bay. There's just a few teams you're going to pay extra juice on, or you're going to get a little total on the high side. And I think we're paying the New York tax here. If you want the over, I don't. I love under 6.5 at -110. That's one of my favorite plays on the board for the Giants. All right, let's bring it on home with the team there from our nation's capital. It's those lovable losers. It is the Washington Redskins. The Redskins have been tabbed at 5.5, a little bit of extra juice on that at -120. They went 3-13 last year, and if you're like me, you were stunned to learn they did win 3 games. I actually don't remember any of them. I guess, did they go down there? Did they play Miami? Did they beat Miami?
Miami went for the 2-point conversion and they failed.
Okay, that's right. Okay, very good. Look at the young kids with their snap memory. God, you gotta love that.
It was big for my survivor pool. I was rooting for Miami, and then Miami went for 2, and they threw a screen pass in the dirt. I still remember it.
Okay, I do remember that now. They've got big questions at quarterback, and I mean some big questions. First question is Alex Smith ever going to play again? Is Dwayne Haskins a real NFL quarterback? And does Kyle Allen have anything that they brought over from Carolina? Dave, you get the pleasure of starting us off with your thoughts on the Redskins.
I'm going to take the over on the Redskins on this one. Ron Rivera, I like him. He should give them a spark. Last year it was just a mess on this team. They had no thoughts of really trying to win games. It seemed at times. The offense, they have quarterback issues, but they have some talent at quarterback, and I feel that Rivera will be able to give them the spark they needed to put together some solid games and some solid wins. They're I think they're better than the Giants, definitely. So
I agree with that. I actually agree with that, even though their win total was lower. So let me ask you the two big quarterback questions. Is Alex Smith ever going to play the game again, or is he just kind of rehabbing because that's part of what his contract says that he has to do to be able to collect his money? So we'll start with that one. Dave, is Alex Smith ever going to play again?
boy, I'd like to say yeah. I mean, if he does, then Washington could actually flirt with a 500 record. Because behind him, Dwayne Haskins has some talent. It's just it has to come out. It has to come out soon.
I would. I think he's going to get a full season to show what he can do. I think the jury's still out after kind of getting tossed into the fire last year. Scott, what do you think about the situation there with the Washington Redskins quarterback? Alex Smith ever going to play again?
For me, not this season. I think there's no way he's going to play with the limited preparation for a new coaching staff and a new playbook, and he hasn't played in about a year or two. I just don't think that's realistic. I think the time framing isn't right. But I think he'll play again, maybe in preseason. I mean, you got to actually see if he still has it anymore, let alone if he's still going to return to the level that he once was. I'm very skeptical of it. I hope he's able to, because it was a very tragic injury that he suffered. But at the end of the day, I think he'll try to make some sort of a comeback attempt, maybe in a preseason in a year or two. I would be very surprised to see him play in the NFL in meaningful regular season games ever again. I hope I'm wrong, but that's just my personal opinion.
I'm the same way. I think he's probably – and I didn't look this up. I think he's probably 34, 35 in that range, just judging from his time with the Chiefs. I just don't see it. I think he's doing what he needs to do to collect that paycheck because he has to be rehabbing and he has to be moving forward as if he's going to play. I just don't see it after almost not only losing his leg, almost losing his life. It was a pretty horrific injury there. It reminds me of the tight end there for the Bears a couple of years back.
Zach Miller?
That had that horrific injury there in the end zone. So yeah, that was ugly. So Dave, they brought in about half of Philadelphia's defensive backfield. They brought in Ronald Darby. They brought in Malcolm Jenkins. They brought in Sean Davis, free safety over there from the Steelers. They brought in Kendall Fuller, play cornerback from the Chiefs. We're going to miss him. Is that going to be enough? What do you see these guys over 5.5 wins, David?
Yeah, I do. And my last, I think that they're gonna they have improved on both sides of the ball, and even with shaky quarterback play, I still think that Ron Rivera is gonna get them playing some good solid football. Last year, like I said, they didn't seem too intent on winning many games. They have high draft choice. But here's one stat that I like. In 9 years of coaching, Ron Rivera has never coached a team that has lost more than 5 games in a season. Every season he's coached has had 6 wins or more. So I think that's a good stat to have as well. I like the over with the Washington Redskins in this one.
All right, Scotty, what do you think? Have they done enough on defense? They have a decent defensive line. They've got to keep everybody healthy, and it's really the questions on the offensive side of the ball, the quarterback position, as well as the running back position. Scott, they got enough tools there to get over 5.5.
Well, first of all, David, if you do like the over, DraftKings has over 5 at -110. So you actually could get some extra value on that for the over.
There you go.
Sounds good.
For me, at 5.5, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to disagree with David a little bit here. I do think that defensive line, assuming they draft Chase Young, is easily a top 5 unit in the league on just defensive line talent alone. With Kerrigan, Allen, and Chase Young, assuming that that's the direction they go. That's ridiculous. If you just look at the talent alone, the issue is I am just very, very anti-Haskins. And I know he got better at the end of the year, and the team played a little bit better at the end of the year in general. I didn't see much from him that makes me believe that he can A, stay healthy, because he ended up suffering a decently serious injury at the end of the year, and B, I just don't think he has the consistency to actually perform well enough and be accurate enough in the pocket. And I feel like if you're going to take the over, you have to have a little bit more certainty at the quarterback position. So I think – plus, I mean, the Redskins alone are also known for making, I don't know, I'd say fools out of themselves on a regular basis. So I feel like if you're going to take the over, you kind of have to keep that in mind. I know it's tough to base everything based on reputation, but that definitely doesn't help. I'll tell you that much under Dan Snyder. But for me, I like the defense. I do think that the defensive front is going to look great. Once again, assuming they take Young, I would wait until you actually see what they do with the number 2 pick before actually making any action on it. But I really don't like the offense. I mean, you're relying on Darius Geis who can't stay healthy and 52-year-old Adrian Peterson. I don't really know how you're going to generate many points. I'm going to take the under for that reason. I think it's tough because this number is low, but I think they'll also go 5-11. I think they're going to be fighting with the Giants at the end for the worst record in the division.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna rank them. I think we're gonna finally be different here. We've had a lot of agreement here the last couple of days on where we think teams are going to finish within the division. I think we might have some minor disagreement here. So here's how I've got it laid out. I've got the Philadelphia Eagles winning the division, going over the total of 9.5. I've got the Cowboys in second place, going under the total of 9.5. And I have the Redskins in third place. I think they're going to surprise some people. I think Riverboat Ron knows what to do with mobile quarterbacks. I think they're going to go over that win total. And I'll go ahead and play that DraftKings number of 5. I'll take the over there as the Redskins finish in third place. And the horrific New York Football Giants, they go under the win total of 6.5 and bring up the caboose. Dave, your turn. How do you have the NFC East laid out?
Well, I have the Eagles and the Cowboys tying for the top of the division, but I think that the Cowboys are going to win by a tiebreaker.
And how many wins do you have them both at 10-6?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, 10-6, both of them.
Okay.
So they're both going over, I feel.
All right.
I agree with you. I'm gonna take the Redskins to finish in third place. 6-10 looks like, you know, they're going to be about that. If Alex Smith does play, they could flirt with a 500 record. And then of course the Giants are in last place. I just don't see them topping the 6.5 or 6 wins, whatever their total is. So 4-12 looks like the ceiling for the Giants.
All right, so you've got them 10-6. Both those teams tie with Dallas taking the tiebreaker. You've got the Redskins in third, going over that total, and you've got the Giants in fourth place, going under their win total. All right, Scotty, bring us home.
So I think I'm in agreement with the Eagles and Cowboys both finishing at 10-6, but I do think the Eagles will win the division. So I like the over on their win totals. I'm not betting the Cowboys one, though. I have no interest in actually going to the bank with that one, but I'm going to lean to the over. Third place, I'm actually going to take the Giants. I think the Giants and Redskins, whoever comes in last, is going to be whichever quarterback gets injured first, because both Haskins and Jones got injured towards the end of last year, and both offensive lines are really underwhelming. So I think it's a matter of which quarterback can run for their lives the longest, which will, cause them to come in third place. I'm going to take the Giants in third. I still like the under there, but they still have some talent that they could win in, I'd say, a variety of ways where I don't think Washington can. I think the Giants can potentially win in a shootout or so based on the weapons they have on offense and Daniel Jones' ability to sling the rock with his mobility. And the defense is improved. Is it good? No, but it did definitely get better during the offseason. So I think the Giants will end up going roughly 5-11, 6-10. So I like the under there. And I got the Redskins with Riverboat coming in last just because of the turnover with the new coaching staff and everything that I mentioned previously. And I am really just out on Haskins. I don't think he can stay healthy. I think Alex Smith playing the season is pretty much a pipe dream. I don't see that being realistic. So for me, I think the defense is good. I don't like Haskins. I don't like that offensive line. And with the new system, I think Washington's going to look like a disaster. So I think Washington will finish 4-12 personally. But I do think that they will finish in last, and I think the Giants will finish at 5-11.
All right, there you go. That is some serious Redskins hate right there, man.
It's not personal. It's just based on recent track record.
Show us where the Redskins hurt you, man. Show us on the doll where the Redskins.
Couple of Week 17 games against the Cowboys back in 2006, maybe. I don't know.
2006. What were you, 9?
Might have been Donovan McNabb when he was still there back in the day. It's been that long when they had like Clinton Portis and Santana Moss. That's the last time I could actually think of when they were good. Besides Robert Griffin III for that 1 year.
What were you betting, Hot Wheels back then? What?
I wasn't betting. It was just watching it with my father. Something that hasn't changed is Cowboy disappointments in Week 17. That's something that'll never change that I've been accustomed to for my entire life. And at some point, you got to just accept it and move on.
Well, now that Jerry Jones has apparently found the pictures that Jason Garrett had of him at a donkey show in Tijuana or whatever he was holding over his head, and they've moved on from Jason Garrett, maybe you won't have so much Cowboy disappointment. We can only hope. Although the rest of the nation, the rest of us hate the Cowboys, so we they suck.
Well, a question for you though. I know that you said you like the under on the Cowboys with all the question marks. Do you actually like the McCarthy hire for the Cowboys, or you're a little bit skeptical of it?
No, I do not. I thought I thought he's been living in the shadow of Aaron Rodgers up there. I think he's been taking a lot of credit for what Aaron Rodgers has done. And not a fan of that hire at all in any way, shape, or form.
Is he better than Garrett though?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes, he is.
Silver lining. It's a silver lining right there.
He is better than Garrett. So maybe by the next hire, 12 years from now, after they, keep him on 8 extra years that they shouldn't, maybe they can get a competent coach in there. We'll see. Maybe Andy Reid will be available by the time he's about 70. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Well, good luck. And as always, when we go through these, my biggest hope for all of these divisions is that we actually see them play some football this year. I'm keeping a good hope. I hope everybody out there is staying safe and staying well. As always, gentlemen, thanks for joining me in the social isolation booth. Dave, thanks for stopping by. Always a pleasure.
No problem. I always enjoy it.
Have fun at watching WrestleMania tonight. Dave, I got to be honest, I might actually watch it. The best thing about the WWE is you can get the WWE app, and it's free to watch WrestleMania, and then you can cancel and never pay. So it's
right.
I'm not sure how that business model works, but you know what? I'm not going to question Vince McMahon and how to make money. So there you go. Have fun watching that. Scott, you going to tune into wrestling tonight?
Respectfully, no. But David, I'm rooting for you. Whichever wrestlers you're hoping to win, I hope they win. No, not really. I might be playing some online poker later. I don't really know. It's kind of a crapshoot on what I'm actually going to be doing every day, just based on all the free time. So hopefully I'll find something, maybe a movie. I don't know.
All right, there you go. And as always, my friend, thanks for being with us. And thanks for stopping by. We always have a blast whenever you and I get together and talk a little sports. And for the rest of you, thanks very much for tuning in. Hey, leave us a comment. Let us know you're out there. Let us know you're breathing. Let us know that you're well and safe. I miss you guys. I really do. And I hope that we'll be back to quote unquote normal here before too long. Maybe get some baseball in, maybe even finish up the NBA playoffs. Dare to dream. And of course, hopefully be ready in time for the NFL season. Once again, everybody stay safe, stay well, stay engaged, and stay away from other people. All right. This is Scott Steehn for David Hess and Scott Reichel, winnersandwhiners.com. We appreciate it. We will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.